Hello my fellow Transformers fans and welcome to the Seibertron.com YouTube channel. This time around we're going to take a look at the Transformers War for Cybertron Siege Battle Masters, which include Autobots WFC S1 Fire Drive, WFC S2 Lionizer, and Decepticon WFC S3 Blowpipe.
Hey everyone, here we have the Transformers War for Cybertron Siege Battle Masters. On the left we have Blowpipe, Decepticon Blowpipe, originally the target master for Trigger Happy. In the middle we have Fire Drive, previously known as Firebolt, known as Sparks in the Marvel UK continuity. He was previously partnered with Hot Rod when he was a target master. And on the far right we have Lionizer, previously the Action Master partner to Rad. He seems to be sporting some of Ravage's color schemes instead of his original colors that he had with orange and gray. So yeah, so it's kind of like Target Masters. All of these also come with little blast effects here, which we'll show in just a minute. These blast effects can be attached to these figures when they are in their weapon mode, and can also be attached to the larger figures where it can make it look like their weapons are shooting out blast or that they are taking fire. Go look at the back. Okay, so here is the back of their packaging, demonstrating exactly what I was just talking about with the blast effects. They are actually called Fire Blast. So Blowpipe on the left, Fire Drive in the middle, and Lionizer on the right. And here are all three of the Battle Masters outside of their packaging, alongside several samples that are left from the products that I received earlier this week from my distributor. They are currently available on shop.Cybertron.com. Probably by the time you see this video, they will be long gone. They sold quick. Here's Blowpipe with his blast effect. Fire Drive with his blast effects. And Lionizer with his quote-unquote blast effect, which is basically a sword swoosh. There they are. Now we will look at each of these individually. Okay, here's the entirety of Wave 1 of Transformers War for Cybertron Siege. We've already taken a look at Megatron and Optimus Prime, both Voyager class figures. Now we're going to take a look at some of the smaller figures first, such as the Micromasters and Battle Masters. Without further ado, let's take a look at some of the Battle Masters. And here are the initial Battle Masters. On the left we have Fire Drive, followed by Blowpipe, followed by Lionizer on the right. All of them are taken straight from G1. They have a little different looks, but as you can see here, as you can see there, we have G1 Firebolt alongside his new War for Cybertron Siege self. G1 Blowpipe. And here we have Lionizer alongside his G1 self. Lionizer originally being a Action Master partner to Rad. As you can see, Lionizer has undergone a few different color changes from his previous incarnation with the crazy neon orange, pinkish orange colors from G1. I'm kind of surprised they didn't go with that, because having a little splash of color on the shelves is never a bad thing, I would think. So you'll see on Lionizer there, he's got the new blast effect feature that's part of the War for Cybertron Siege line. Something new that we've not had in Transformers before, just little action things here to demonstrate that they're doing things, I guess. Fire Drive does come with some blast effects as well, though you can't use them in robot mode. It's too long. However, you can detach this gun, which is something I kind of always wish we could have done with the G1 guys. And there's a smaller, I think that's a 3mm peg, that you can peg right into this hole on his forearm. And there you go. However, when those are attached, it's a little too top heavy. I think that looks really nice. Just having the gun there as well is pretty cool. For previously having been target masters, for them not to be able to use their own guns, I've always thought was a little silly. So this is kind of a cool update. As you can see here, each of these figures has little ball joints. There are no elbow joints or knee joints on these guys, unfortunately, which kind of takes away a little bit of the fun of them. But they still look pretty nice. Again, as you might have noticed, Firebolt previously was more of a gray color. He's almost white here. It's kind of an off-white. There's a piece of paper with one of my daughter's drawings on it, so you can see it's just it's basically white instead of gray. Blowpipe can do the same. You just detach this from the back. It's got the peg here, corresponding hole. You can put it on the left or the right arm. Plug it in, and he is good to go. He's actually got my favorite blast effect. I don't know why this one strikes my eyes, but it's pretty cool looking, I think. And again, he's a little too top heavy when the blast effect is attached. I think for display purposes that looks fine. I highly doubt hardly anyone's going to have these actually on display in robot mode anyways. I think most of the time people will probably partner these up with the Titans Return figures that they most likely should have been partnered with in the first place. So on that note, let's pull in a few of those guys. Trigger Happy. So there we have Trigger Happy and Rodimus. Unfortunately, we don't have a Generations Red yet. Would love to see one now that we have a new partner for him. Before we transform those guys, though, Transformers Legends, actually, from Takara, came out with a couple smaller versions of these guys that partnered with these in Japan. We did not get those figures here in America, though, unfortunately. And there's Blowpipe. These are the Japanese versions of these guys. Both of which might have been the epitome of us getting a whole lot of exclusive products from Japan that we did not end up getting here in America. Got Ginrai, God Bomber, the Target Master partners, both for the Autobots and Decepticons. A lot of things going on here that we did not end up with here in America from Hasbro. These little dudes are pretty cool in their own right. Just a different take on the Target Masters. I like that the Legends ones are a little smaller, maybe 1/4 inch. Still very large compared to the Titan Masters. This is the Blowpipe Headmaster. Either way, they're considerably larger than the heads are, but pretty cool nonetheless. I will move these guys all aside for a moment, and we'll take a look further at the Battlemasters. So, to transform them, we're going to put the weapons back on their backs. Just snaps right back in. To transform Blowpipe, we just lift his gun attachment over his head, flip. There's a swivel right here at his waist that needs to rest there, and then there's a couple little pegs on the back side of his feet where his heels would be, and those just plug into these two corresponding holes on his gun. Oops, and I did that wrong. Leave it to me to transform Battlemaster incorrectly. Okay, so the feet need to plug together first, and then they snap into the holes there. One of the things I do like about the Siege Battlemasters is that there are also additional plugs on the forearms, on the inside of the forearms, that connect to the hip area of the legs, which is nice because it gives you it gives the gun a much more firm feel than it does with the Legends figures where the arms are just hanging to the sides, which might have been okay on the G1 figures, but they don't move, so it's pretty, those aren't going anywhere. I hate doing this. For those of you that don't have the G1 versions, these like to snap off, and it's getting really close there. One of these days I'm going to regret that, but for now, it's still hanging in there. So yeah, like I said, these arms don't move, so it wasn't a big thing to have the arms hanging off the side, but on the newer ones with the ball joints and such, having the arms move is kind of annoying. So it's nice that they put plugs for those to go somewhere, whereas on this Legends figure, let's spin his head around. These arms literally just hang off the back. Not the end of the world, but it would have been nice had they also clipped in somewhere up here. I think that would have been kind of cool. There we go, the 3 different versions of Blowpipe. Move him aside, take the blast effects off of Fire Drive. Reattach this to his back panel. Then we'll flip the guns over his head. Peg the feet together. And then swing these around so that the front of his feet peg into the top of the gun here. And again, tabs on the forearms slot into the upper legs or hip area. There you go. Add his blast effects. And there we have Fire Drive. Alongside Firebolt. Transformers Legends fire drive, or firebolt. And there we have the three of them alongside each other. In addition to Lionizer having a different color scheme, he also transforms into a different weapon. He previously transformed into a gun that Rad would use. So he used to turn into a gun of sorts. I don't know. Okay, there's G1 Lionizer in gun mode. Whereas this one turns into a blade, or a sword of sorts. Flip his head down to form the handle. And on his front paws, there is a tab that goes into the top of his legs here. Flip them over and do the same. Tab goes into the upper legs. This one's not wanting to stay in for some reason. There we go. So that's the battle blade for him. And as with the other Battle Masters, the swoosh effect does come off, or the blast effect does come off, and can just be reattached. I really like this effect, but I like it on the figure, whereas I could do with or without the blast effect on the other figures. And as I previously stated, you can use the Battle Masters with previous versions of these characters. Well, with the characters that they were intended for. So here we have Titan's Return Hot Rod holding Fire Drive. Again, I would have really liked to have seen Fire Drive have the same gray plastic here. I'm not sure why they opted for having white plastic instead of gray. Here we have Trigger Happy, who I think looks really good with this. Looks very good having Blowpipe with him. Now let's see, who can we partner Lionizer up with? Let's just give him to Cog here. It's got the right color scheme going on, the black and the gray. And as I mentioned, we can do some side-by-sides with the Transformers Legends guys. There's Hot Rod and Trigger Happy. Very similar, yet very different. One thing to note is the Legends version has a extra hole on his chest where the gun can attach in vehicle mode, which is absent from the Hasbro version. I'm sure there's somewhere to plug Blowpipe in, but I've not actually taken a look at that yet. One more thing to take a look at. We've got the guy that started it all, G1 Trigger Happy, alongside Blowpipe. See, one kind of cool thing with the new versions of Trigger Happy is he has the animation model head instead of the vintage toy head that I don't think ever was used in any fiction. Okay, so I transformed Trigger Happy. He has few and far between places where we can actually stick this, where we can stick Blowpipe. I guess the best shot's going to be just underneath there, which doesn't even rest properly. So I guess this is why I didn't really try this. I didn't think there was going to be a really good spot. Just nowhere underneath here. It would have been nice if there had been a spot right here. No, unfortunately, just underneath the wings is going to be it. It doesn't look that great because it doesn't rest properly. Let's see if we snap together his Titan's Return guns, what happens on the other side here. Does it level it out? Get the wheel back out. So at least that way he's at least even. I mean, he's not tilted to one side or another. So that doesn't look terrible, but definitely not as cool as the Legends version will look. Okay, so transformed all of the Trigger Happies. Decided I just couldn't do it without showing you guys. So obviously much cooler on the Takara version, having Blowpipe here on the top. Would have been nice had, instead of the hole being there, it had actually been on a piece back here. Maybe there could have been an extra peg hole attached to one of the legs that made it asymmetrical, but would have been a better placement for it. Just to give you an idea of what this looks like. The power, what it looks like with Siege Blowpipe on top of Legends Trigger Happy. That looks pretty cool. I think we'll end up with the same problem with Hot Rod. So here's Hot Rod and his Transformers Legends counterpart on the right. Very different toys. It's funny just how changing the colors and giving it a different accessory and remolding the chest here, what a difference it makes. Not a fan at all, really, of the Titan's Return one on the left. I am a big fan of the one on the right. However, I strongly dislike the hollow chest here. But if I just wish there had been like a panel or something that would flip there. But we're not here to talk about him. We're here to talk about Fire Drive. So we've got him, and then obviously the G1 version. It's just kind of a hodgepodge. My original G1 version went to crap long ago, not long after I got him in '87. But I'd kept him all those years and took a commemorative series one from 2002, I think, and hodgepodged them together, and that's why he has die-cast feet instead of the black plastic. I'm going to transform them all, and we'll take a look at where Fire Drive goes when they're in vehicle mode. So here are Legends Hot Rod, G1 Target Master Hot Rod, and Titan's Return Hot Rod, who has nowhere really for Fire Drive to go. You can attach him here, the front, but then he definitely, unless he's going to fly, is not going to be able to use that. So again, we run into the same problem because there's nowhere for Fire Drive to go with Hot Rod in car mode, unfortunately. It'd be really nice if there's a spot right there for him to go. Oh, maybe we just need to drill a hole. Drill a hole right there, call it a day. I have an extra one of these, so maybe we could try that. Don't have an extra Trigger Happy to try that with. Anyway, so that's those guys. There's Lionizer. I feel like he hasn't gotten a lot of love. assume he'll be the shelf warmer of the three of these guys. He's not short packed. They each come 4 to a case of 12. And here are all three of them side by side. Pretty cool little accessories. And as always, you can see galleries of these on Cybertron.com, where I show these figures being used by more figures than what you're seeing here. So check them out when you get a chance. Thanks.